And I didn't like it. That's the summary. All right, everybody, really quick before we get started, I'm just going to share some stuff on the internets about being on the other part of the internets. And then today we're going to do some doodling. And I tried to place my camera in a way that you could see me drawing upright, but I don't think that's going to happen today. So here we are. Let's see really quickly. I just want to take a little video like these. Not of my face, but like these. And we're going to share this really quick. Live stream starts now. I get to do one of those really annoying link in bio posts. Cool. Okay. So today, what are we gonna draw? Good question, everyone. We're going to take a look at where we're at. And I had an image that I wanted to draw from. So today we are going to focus on basically environmental studies. Because it's not my strong suit. I'm fairly okay at drawing, how can I say? I'm fairly decent with like things that are really close, things that you're focused on. That are very close up, but I really do struggle with like environment building. And so today what I'm going to do is give myself about an hour and a half to work on some environments, work on some studies for, looking at the space around you. I should have shared this on my social media before. I apologize. Let me see. We're just going to do a little boomerang really quick, and then if you message in the chat, I will be able to see it. So please feel free to contact me. The first thing I'm going to do is essentially break this up into different quadrants. I'm not going to be too particular about this. I know some people really like to use rulers. I'm not personally a fan of rulers just because it takes time and I'm lazy. So we're going to start with a little bit of an environment study. I really want to focus on foreground, background, and midground, which is, again, something I kind of just have a hard time with. So I'm drawing from reference here. I'm using some photos of a forest. And I don't know about everybody. I know for like oil painting anyway, we have to start in the background. But when you're doing it with a pencil, you can kind of start anywhere, I guess. Maybe. We'll find out. Maybe I'll regret this. Yeah, I got a little bit of a tree here in the front. These will eventually turn into like really quick speed painting drawings, just because, yeah, I'm trying to get better at some of these tactics. Let's move this frame a little bit. I'm trying to get used to some of these sort of speed painting tactics because I'm moving a little bit more into concept art as it comes to like characters and storytelling and things like this. And so we're going to start studying that. Oh, sorry, you might be a little bit too zoomed out. Just a second. Hey, boo. Sanunam. 1 second. I'm going to turn off the light so you can see. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. He's wearing his headphones over there. Wow, that's still really hard to see, isn't it? I apologize. I was doing this on iPad last week, and that wasn't as hard to see. Is that better or is that worse? We're going to keep trying. Come on, camera. You can do it. Focus. Sorry. There we go. Okay. We might be having some camera jogging issues. We'll see. I'm kind of experimenting with where to place the camera because my setup is really small, and the only way that I've been able to get the camera to look right at what I'm doing, like right side up, which is what I see on a lot of live streams, and I really like how it looks. I can't seem to get it to work for me with the space that I've got. So we'll see. I'm going to keep experimenting, and I don't know that I like this angle, but we're going to try. We're going to try. Okay, let's add a link really quick to my social media because I should have done this earlier. I'm sorry. It's Sunday morning. Everybody forgive me. Yeah, if you're chilling in the audience, feel free to chat with me any old time. We're going to share, copy link. We're going to go over to Instagram, paste. Now, live drawing is on. Excuse me. We went to a really big birthday, or not birthday party. I don't know why I said birthday party. We went to a really big Christmas party yesterday. You can do it. You can do it, camera. The birthday party was super entertaining. Birthday party for Santa, I guess. I guess it's Santa's party, huh? And then one more thing. I think we're almost there. Trying to reduce the amount of like scrub that this camera is doing. I'm trying to reduce the amount of it's trying to zoom in and zoom out as my hand is moving, so everybody just forgive me here. Today I'm looking mostly at shapes, sizes, and colors, and I'm definitely struggle bussing with it, I'm not gonna lie. But something that I'd like to improve on in this coming year is basically just building environments and light and shadow. Because a lot of the things that I've drawn in the past are really like, it's usually a singular figure, right? It's never more than one figure, and it's usually fairly close because I kind of like that style. But I also feel like I'm going to get too comfortable if I do that. Wow. So sorry. The camera like really does not want to focus on this, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm going to see if I can move this by chance. Maybe that's better. Are you going to stay? Sorry, one moment. I'm going to try not to be moving this camera this entire time. Oh, that kind of works. You're hanging out. This is clipped to my iPad. Let's see if this works. Low-tech solutions for high-tech problems. But yeah, I definitely kind of struggle with this sort of thing. So I'm actively trying to fix that. And I've been learning some new like kind of brush and ink techniques for iPad, Procreate specifically. If any of you in the audience are artists, do you have any like goals for going into 2024? Anything that you'd like to improve on or focus on as an artist? Things you'd like to practice maybe? So I think we all do, but then, you know, we run out of time to practice. Okay, yeah, there we go. Let's do something like that. We're going to cut off this horizon, a sloping hill. But if you do art, you probably have seen or you probably know the frustration of being like, okay, well, I'm really good at this thing, but this thing, ooh, yeah, that's hard. That's hard for me. So we practice. And we're going to add in some grass shadows here. But in my head, I have these images of these like big worlds that I really enjoy looking at. And I want to be able to visually express these. Like I have this story in mind about this character named Emmett. And I won't say too much because I mean, it's not even about secrecy. It's just that his story, every time I think I know what his story is, something informs it or changes, how his story goes. But the world that he's in is massive. I mean, it's this just absolutely massive space. And for me, I think it's a bit of catharsis because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I grew up in the woods, and now I live in this massive city. We have 15 million residents in the city. A lot of people. I mean, 15 million is a lot of people. And I feel very overwhelmed by that a lot of the time. And so I think this story for me in a lot of ways is functioning as a catharsis, as a way to understand, my role living in such a massive society and what that means really for me. I think I completely messed up these clouds, but that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a note here that we can just practice some clouds here in a minute. Right now, I'm basically just doing some extremely loose sketching based on images, either that I took or that I found on the internet. And I just want to do a little bit of a light and shadow study here with this tree really quick before we move to our next sketch. So usually when I feel very, very confident in a sketch, when I feel pretty good about where it is, I'll paint it. But today, I think I'm just going to paint one. Let me get one that I really like. And I don't really like proportionally how this sketch is turning out. I think it's too much tree and not enough sky. But the shadows are nice. I do really like the shadows in this picture. So I got something like weird, like this trunk has like a tumor. I don't know what's going on here. It's okay. You live, you learn. You sketch some stuff that looks good. You sketch some stuff that doesn't. It's just the way. This is the way. But yeah, going into next year, I am really excited about. I'm really excited about going into next year and trying to kind of figure out our situation. Oh, our person left Womp. That's okay. What was I going to say? Sorry, I completely lost my train of thought. It doesn't matter. Okay, we finished one. Let's go into our next study here. This isn't completely done, but I'm not sure how I feel about this. How I feel about how this is going. Recently I went to I realized when I was in the States that I have a lot of hometowns. Like I grew up in a hometown called Longview, and it's in Washington State. And if you ever watched Twilight was filmed very, very close to my hometown. Sorry, I was just thinking about the fact that, they filmed part of that at our high school. Anyways, so they filmed this movie there because it's creepy. It's a scary place. And it rains a lot. It actually does kind of look like that minus the blue filter. It's not quite as actually that blue, but I mean, it's a pretty blue place. Pretty dark, pretty drab. Let's just put it that way. And I think that's why they filmed it where they did. But anyways, I was recently home. Gosh, I really wish I could turn this camera upside down so you can actually see what it is that I'm trying to build. But if I move the camera this way, then I can't see what I'm doing. So, because you can see, but I can't see. So I got to figure out what's the best way to do this for next. We might even pause the stream and see if I can fix that. Anyway, one of my hometowns is in Idaho, in Moscow, Idaho. And I recently visited. I haven't been there in I don't know, a while, 3 years, 4 years. A lot changed in that period of time. And I think Moscow was it's a weird place. And if you've never been there, it's kind of hard to explain what Moscow's like. We're going to make this one tall. It's kind of hard to explain what Moscow's really like because it has been taken over by a religious cult. There's this cult of people who live there, and they go by a couple of different names, but the way that people know them who are not in the cult, we know them as Christ Church. And just for the record, religion, fine. do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Believe whatever you want to believe. However, these guys are so wild because they believe in like very strict rules and regulations for everything, but particularly like for gender and family. And it's strange because you can kind of like even tell when someone is in the church just literally based on how they're dressed. It's a very odd thing, I think. Okay, I'm getting too caught up in details and not caught up enough in the big picture. Yeah, let's just get these rocks into place here. Yeah, they're an interesting group of people. Let's just put it that way. They're an interesting group of people. Okay, that's way too tall. Let's fix that. Let's do here and here. I don't know. It was strange to be back there because there used to be this business downtown that was a bookstore, or not a bookstore, sorry, it's now a bookstore. It used to be like a breakfast place where you could get, I don't know, like mimosas and pancakes and waffles, and like their food was super good. And I'm not just saying that because we had no options in the town. I'm saying that because it legitimately was really good food. And hang on, I'm going to keep experimenting and see if I can make this easier to see over time. It was legitimately really good food, but the people who owned the building was this Christ Church group of people. And they basically kicked out this restaurant so that they could open up a bookstore for their university, because they have a university called New St. Andrews. And they sorry, this sounds so crazy because it really is. Like, if you knew anything about the guy who runs this church, you'd be like, oof. Which, I mean, I guess we can talk about that. But yeah, his name is Doug Wilson, and he's crazy. And I just need a sweatshirt really quick because I'm cold. Okay. But yeah, Doug Wilson's an interesting guy. And he, native English speakers, we all know that that's a deep insult. He's an interesting guy. He's interesting. So Doug Wilson, strange guy. He opened up this school. The school tries to take over everything in town, and anything that they don't agree with, they will try to actively shut it down, which is really annoying because, like, you would think, oh, they're protesting something that's really bad. They're protesting like the most random stuff. Like the University of Idaho that's there is actually incredibly liberal. It's like the liberal school of the state, because Idaho is not a liberal place, but U of I is pretty liberal, especially like the arts department, as you can imagine. And like the arts department, when I was still going there, was really interested in trying to just like make life more comfortable for students who were a bit non-traditional. Either they were older students or LGBTQ students. I think it's LGBTQIA now since I've left the States. That has changed a little bit. And I hope, that seems good, be inclusive of people. They had, like, we did some kind of, I'm trying to remember what the word is. It was an event, essentially, that was really just to help people who were either like transitioning or were trying to kind of like understand their gender identity. And it wasn't public, by the way. Like, we didn't advertise this to like children. This was for university students. So adults, most of them anyway. And Christ Church really didn't like this, and they tried really hard to like fight us tooth and nail on that. They basically tried to get it shut down because they didn't like that it didn't agree with gender norms. And I just remember the whole art department was like, Like if you would have just left us alone, nobody would know about this. But because like it was a really small thing. It was really just like an art department thing. Somehow they found out about it because they have eyes and ears all over Moscow, Idaho. Somehow, yeah, they found out about this event. And then because they got angry, everybody knew about it. So no one would have come other than students in our group, but because they basically did our advertising for us, a bunch of people who weren't even involved in the school, like who just lived in town, because Moscow's really small. It's like 20,000 people, 25,000 people. It's really tiny. Everybody in town seemed to know about it. So it was just kind of silly that they were like, we shall stop this. But then totally didn't at all. They just like made it an even bigger thing. It did become a fight that didn't need to happen, which is annoying. But I think highly opinionated people on those matters are maybe not the most empathetic toward other people's plights. I don't know. So it was interesting to go back to Moscow because, yeah, that one place that used to be, like, you know, a Saturday morning, like, hey, let's go grab a mimosa and some food, had really quickly become like this home of just intense hate. Because, like, if you look through the window, there was a book titled Toxic Masculinity. And I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't know it was owned by Christchurch yet. I see this book, it's like, oh yeah, Toxic Masculinity. I was like, that's interesting that they just like have that out on the shelf. I mean, that is kind of like a Moscow thing to do that. To talk about that subject, because like there's no place else in Idaho that you can really. Boise's getting better, but it's still pretty politically conservative. And I mean, I don't know, like America, all of our politics are messed up. Doesn't matter what side you're on, really. Sorry, I'm like trying to get the shadow on this. Oh, I totally botched that. Okay, we're gonna try to have to do that again. They really shocked me because I looked through the window, it goes, oh yeah, Toxic Masculinity, and then I read the subtitle. So there's like the title and then the long title that describes what the book's about. And this title was like, oh yeah, like Toxic Masculinity, and like the subtext was how feminism has destroyed men. And I was like, oh no. And like, yeah, the whole book, because I looked it up online, I was like, what is this dribble? You know what I mean? This drivel that people are paying actual money to read. I was like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, it turns out it's a bunch of is what it is. And like, don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of things about men's lives that we need to talk about. Not being allowed to have emotions, that's one. Feeling, oh my God, this is delicious. Feeling like they are not allowed to express themselves, that's another. These are big problems, you know. I was talking to a friend of mine, straight guy from the States. I mean, maybe he likes other people, I don't know, but I get the impression that he likes women. And I guess he was married to one, but that doesn't always mean anything. Yeah, we were talking yesterday about like men's feelings. And I was like, I feel like men are so often told that they are not allowed to have feelings, and so they just sort of bury them. And James is this guy's name, super nice dude. I really enjoy his company. And he was like, yeah. It was like, yeah, like we're not only told that we can't talk about it, we don't know how to talk about it because we don't have the words to associate with that feeling. So he had to go to a therapist who finally just told him, like, that's not normal. Like, that's not a normal feeling. That you're like, yeah, well, my heartbeat is really fast and my palms are sweating and all this stuff. He was like, is that normal to feel if everything's okay? And she was like, well, I mean, feeling anxious is normal. Anxiety is something that most people experience, at least occasionally. And she's like, that's not the weird part. The weird part is that you don't know that that's anxiety. And he was like, oh, okay. So I just don't know. They can't talk about it. They can't talk about it. Poor guys. I'm just going to take a little sip of coffee here. All right, I've got 1 more hour to pick one of these drawings to paint. And then I'm actually going to try to repaint the spectator that I started in last week's live, because I think I figured out how to do it faster. Do it makes us feel it better, faster, stronger. Yeah, so I'm going to see if I can maybe try that style out. I do like how this one's kind of coming along. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. Really, I'm just focused on foreground, background, midground, kind of general shapes, and what's the word I'm looking for? Like shadows. Generally just sort of shapes and shadows that I'm working on. Also, hello. So I am streaming this through Restream. So you might be on Twitch or YouTube. I'm not sure which one, but if you comment or write anything, I'll be able to see it on here. So feel free to bug me. Feel free to ask away. I'd be happy to answer questions if I know the answer. If I know the answer. Okay, so this is what we've got so far. We have 2 different studies. Our first one here is of just like a tree and some clouds off in the countryside. Our second one here is like some stones that have a couple trees growing on top. It's a little bit more of a like fantastical sort of an environment. I think I'm going to do exactly 1 more study for today and maybe call it, because usually I try to stream until 12 o'clock, which is like another hour, but I am really tired, so I'm not sure how long I'll be able to go, but I'm going to try to power through. Can I draw upside down? I haven't done that in a really long time. Maybe I should. Let's pick a picture. I want to see if drawing upside down would help me at all. It used to. When I first started learning how to draw, like back in the day, one of the classic techniques, I guess, is to take an image, turn it upside down, and draw it. And it's because your brain doesn't try to correct you. It's not trying to like fix what you're drawing. So you're just drawing the shapes as you see them. I haven't done that since probably 2015. I'm really curious if that would work. Let's try it. I'm going to just save an environment pic that I've got. Oops, not copy, save. I'm going to see if I can turn this upside down. And if that will help me to figure that out. Rotate. Okay, we've got our picture upside down. Let me just move some screens here. Okay, cool. We're gonna try this so that you guys can see it. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm kicking my light. Don't mind me. So that y'all can see it right side up. First, let's make the shape right, because this is going to be tall and thin, as most art is these days. Okay, I don't know that this was necessarily the best picture for this task, but we're going to try. There we go. Okay, shall I start with the foreground or the background? Let's start with the horizon here. Okay, and then from here we've got this sort of blackened shape coming into the ground like that. I'm literally just going to look at the shapes while I'm doing this. Oh yeah, you can see that right side up. I wonder if there's a way for me, not just 1 second to, oh, hang on a sec. I gotta accept a work invite. That would be 7 to 8 a.m. Perfect. Okay, cool beans. And then I'm just going to see if I can add Tickety Tokety to our live stream here, just for fun. Made by Silas. We'll go to the one that I actually can stream on, since I'm the only one here. Drawing into chat. Is that me that's in here? Sorry, I'm just adding a live stream source really quick. If you're joining in, we're going to draw this upside down. So for you who's watching, this image is right side up. But for me, this is upside down. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm trying to like trick my brain into being able to do this properly. Because I think that's my problem with environments, is that like environments are typically really hard for me, and I think it's because my brain's trying to autocorrect it. Yeah, I've lost my attachment piece for my phone on this. Okay, well maybe I can't do that. That's okay. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work, will it? Yeah, okay, we'll deal with that next week. Okay, so we've got one dark shape. Let's see, let's go to our next one. And that dark shape actually comes here as well as here, like that. I can lightly kind of shade that in. You know, it's really common, I think, when we're first starting to learn to draw, to also kind of get lost in the work that you're doing, because there's like lots of pieces and lots of things. And so it can be really easy to get lost in what you're doing. This is a little bit pointier. We'll bring that out. Okay. But practice definitely helps. And I think for me, shading in an area, just kind of knowing like this is not a lighter color, that helps me a lot to make sure that I kind of know where I'm at, because I can match that light and dark to the pattern in the drawing. So this helps me quite a bit, but I'm sure other people have some advice. Okay, we got a little bit of a lighter blue area here, a little bit of a lighter area kind of up like this, up like this. We're going to shadow this a little bit lighter since it's kind of fading off. And then from here, we've got a line going up. It kind of makes like a swooping shape, doesn't it? So it's a little bit too steep. So I think I need to, yeah, it would be something more like that. Okay. A little bit more of a swooping kind of a shape. I have this tendency to kind of like overcorrect angles on things. And so what I'm trying to do right now is basically trick myself into making things the right size and shape. We'll see if it works. And then this one's going to be pretty light. Made our line on top a little bit dark. From here, we've got a line going up. Up, up, up. Okay. Some clouds. We've got a dark spot here. We've got a dark spot here. We've got some dark spots in here and here. You know what's really weird about being a person? I mean, a lot of things. You know what's extra weird about being a person? I think we make our lives harder than they have to be, actually, very often. We invent problems because we're afraid of potential future problems. But then because we're afraid of the future problems, then we cause those problems now. So we tend to kind of like trip and stumble over our own best interests. Which is pretty unfortunate if you think about it. Pretty unfortunate if you think about it. Also, I'm not sure if people are writing or not, but just in case you are commenting, for some reason they are not coming through. But if you're just chilling, that's cool too. No worries. I just wanted to make sure that nobody was there. I had a problem like I think it was last week where one of my friends, I can't remember, I think she was on Twitch, and she was commenting, but I couldn't like see what she was writing. And then she finally like messaged me because she just has my like personal contact. And she was like, "Hey, like I'm writing in the chat, like can you see it?" And I was like, "Oh, like no, I actually can't." So she finally, came back. And I think she switched over to, maybe it was YouTube. I'm not sure what platform she switched over to, but then I could see her comment. So just in case they're not coming through, if you are writing something. So I'm just going to check on YouTube really quick, make sure nobody's there. Okay, cool. I'm going to run a quick test here. Okay, so I think we've got most of this. We're just going to add a couple more lines here of some fading. Kind of castle here in the distance and big ass mountain in the background. Cool. Okay, so we've got kind of like our midground. We've got our background. Now we just kind of need this foreground area. Sorry, it seems like my camera's really just disinterested in doing its job today. Is that any better? Come on, man. My camera is like really fighting with me today, and I don't like it. I'm really sorry. I'm going to see. That seems to be the best that I can get there. Okay. So we got our midground. We got our background. Now we just need the foreground. And so things are going to start to steadily get a little bit darker as we get closer to our viewer. And I like to think about like if you're driving up through the woods and like into the wilderness and you're looking off in the distance, you can kind of tell that these mountains are further away because the atmosphere interferes with our ability to like see it really clearly. So it sort of becomes this like gray blue, just depending on the weather, as you get further and further and further away from it. So you can do some cool things artistically with that, where you make things like very dark, really close to the person, and then kind of getting lighter off in the distance. You can use like any color scheme for that, really. You could do like dark purples near you and then light purples as you go away, like more of a lavender color. You can mix and match colors. I really like mixing like deep purple close up with like a really soft but bright yellow as you start to get into the distance. That's one of my favorites. It looks really freaking cool, man. It looks really cool, man. So we're going to color in some of this shade. And we're going to be pretty gentle here on this side, and I'll kind of show you why in a second. Okay, we're getting there. We got a little bit of foreground going. Okay, let's get our big, there's like a big piece in the 4/4 foreground that kind of cuts over some of this. So I just want to kind of get that piece in here. You should have got music going. I just realized I never turned any on. All right, our fearless figure onlooking their future. I think, yeah, this might need to become a habit of mine, just because I think I know that I really miss like big, wide, open space. And it's the hardest thing to miss, because if you're in a place like I am that is very, 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 very full of people, it's very challenging to feel perfectly content with your life, you know? And so I think this is a good way for me to feel better about my existence. Okay, I actually kind of like how this one went. I feel like this one went a lot better. So maybe that's what I need to do, is just start doing stuff upside down. Maybe that's the key. That's the ticket. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to look at this right side up really quick and just see, because, oh yeah, that turned out pretty well. It's not perfect, but it's significantly better than it was. Okay, we learned something with these 3 drawings today. We learned that I've got some stuff to work on. We've learned that I miss the countryside a little bit, just a little bit. We've learned that being a human being is difficult. I think mostly for everyone, but so yeah, I think today's been pretty good. It's not my longest stream, I apologize, but such is life when you're tired. I'm gonna take a little break, and then I'm gonna stream for a little bit on TikTok. Yeah, but then next week we'll come back, and I want to try some new painting styles in the near future. So hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you later, guys. Thanks.